Today's broadcast is being brought to you by WokeSkipTracing.com. Look up phone numbers and email addresses with ease, with pricing as low as only 15 cents per match. Not per search, per match. If there's no number or email address, you don't pay. Get accurate data in just minutes. WokeSkipTracing.com. That's WokeSkipTracing.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, women and children of all ages, it's about that time. It's Monday Night Raw, real estate style. Give me one moment. Got a small thing here. Let me fix something real quick. You say, how do I hop on? Right here, this link. Is that it? Boom. All right, there we go. Make sure we got them locked in there. So let me put me on the camera so you can see my face. And my face is in the place. Here we go. Boom. All right, what's up, everybody? Happy holiday. What holiday is it? Indigenous Peoples Day. You thought I was going to say Columbus Day, didn't you? And I ain't even know it was that. The only reason I even knew it was Columbus Day because we had a bank wire supposed to have been hitting Friday that didn't go through, and it didn't hit today. So I said, oh, it must be a holiday. And that's the only reason I knew it was a holiday. That's bad, ain't it? Nevertheless, we are here live tonight. We got a great show for you tonight. What's up, everybody? We are streaming live on multiple platforms, streaming live on Instagram temporarily for the next few moments. Hop on over to the YouTube channel at ChrisMonroeSTL for the full experience. We're streaming live on Periscope at Chris Monroe Show. We're streaming live on Twitch, the gamer site. We're also streaming live on Facebook and the Woke Real Estate Investing Group as well. We got a great one for you tonight. Go ahead and put your name in and let me know where you're coming in from so we can get you a shout out before we get started with the show. But before we do that, let me let you know what's going on next week. Actually, that's not even next week. This is next week. Next week, which is October 19th, we'll be on with Miss Ashley and Joseph. A JV partner team made $14,000 on this wholesale deal. We're going to go through a real estate deal analysis with them. I believe they're out of Atlanta. We're going to go over that and see how they actually made $14,000 gross profit, no credit, no real estate license, none of that stuff. We're going to go over that case study next Monday. Make sure you're tuned in for that. The following week, we're on with Mr. D. Stevens, a real estate strategist and coach. We're bringing on some heavy hitters for you for sure. He's on October 26th, 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern. That's going to be a great show as well. If you ever want to be notified of any of these upcoming Monday night streams, all you have to do is text JV to 31996. That'll get you the joint venture agreement for free. Plus, you'll be added to the notification squad to be known when we actually go live. So you don't have to depend on YouTube or wherever you're watching right now. You'll get a text right into your phone. You don't have to remember. We set it up for you so you can be great. And as you know, tonight we're on with Mr. Chris Senegal, doing big things down in Texas. We're going to talk to him tonight. He's in the green room getting ready, about to come out swinging and bucking and swinging. So let me let you know, it's about that time, y'all. We about to get it popping.
And we have Mr. I Stay Woke, and Mr. I Stay
Woke. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? This is the student master teacher, Mr. I Stay Woke, Chris Monroe, and I'm right back at you with another real estate video. You know, we have to bring on heavy hitters in different markets all over through the United States. And tonight, there's no shortage of that. We're bringing on my brother, Mr. Chris Senegal. What's up, bro? How you doing?
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
All right. Glad to have you on tonight.
Yeah.
Say everybody named Chris gotta be good, right?
There we go.
Right. So for people who may not know, who is Chris Senegal and what do you do?
Real estate developer here in Houston, Texas. Been in started fix and flip like 2008, and got into bigger deals like 2013, buying portfolios instead of buying individual properties. And yeah, man. So now doing that whole buy the block thing, buying the block before it was a trendy catchphrase. I wasn't calling it that. I was just trying to make bigger moves, man. So now I'm out here in Houston, kind of setting the blueprint for what we can do in our own communities without waiting for Oprah and LeBron, man, and just making it happen.
Wow. So, I mean, I know that's a big jump to start. Everybody wants to get into the fixing and flipping one little house, but you said, I want to do something bigger and better. What made you have that vision?
Man, I was just getting frustrated with watching what everybody else was doing, and it became really competitive, and, people, they get caught in that cycle, but I always saw bigger developments. I'm like, okay, we flipping these houses, but who actually originally built these houses? We building houses, but who actually started these neighborhoods? That's the developer. The developer is the person that starts that whole process. And I'm like, why aren't more of us trying to get in that position to be able to control the narrative, to decide what happens for the next 100 years in the community? And so, bro, that's really what it started from. So it took me hitting reset and saying, if I could go from thinking I needed to be having a degree and having a corporate job to fixing and flipping and completely changing that model, I figured I could do it again and just say, I'm not going to fix and flip. I want to become a developer. And so that's really what happened.
Wow. So that has to be kind of scary, though, to make that leap from regular real estate guy to like doing whole communities. I mean, that's got to be kind of scary, right?
Man, it's hella scary. But I mean, everything you do in life is scary. Everything is risky. Not doing nothing is risky. Trying something new is risky. So it's all about what type of risk you want to take and, how far you want to get into it. Of course, everything has to be a calculated risk. So I had done my research and I knew that the area that I was doing this project in here in Houston had a lot of upside potential because, McDonald's was already gentrifying. You know what I mean? To put it in regular terms, if you're Burger King or Wendy's, you're trying to figure out where to go, or even if you're a mom and pop hamburger joint starting up and you see McDonald's about to move into the area, that's where you want to go. So this neighborhood just happened to be one that was already having gentrification start. So, yeah.
Right. So when people think about gentrification, they think of the negative aspect. Oh, they're going to push us out and they're going to come in and put these expensive places here and put us out of the community. I mean, is that the right mindset, or should people be thinking about this in a different way?
That's absolutely the right mindset. If you stand on the sideline trying to fight it and arguing about it instead of participating in it, because that is what's going to happen. I mean, it's anything with capitalism, anything in business entrepreneurship, either you participate in it or you let somebody else make all the decisions. So, so for me, man, it was like, okay, gentrification. The textbook definition of gentrification is taking something from a lower class and making it the middle class standard. That's the whole definition if you just look at the regular Webster's dictionary. The problem comes in is when who is actually making it middle class and which middle class are they catering to. So if we can be in a position to come into the communities and cater to a middle class without displacing the existing residents and making sure they still stay in place, and they also benefit from the revitalization in the neighborhood, then it could be a win-win for everybody. So in that case, no, gentrification is not a negative thing. It's revitalization, So that's my outlook on it.
Yeah, that's great. So a lot of people, I know when you get into real estate in general, and I think we got an election about 3 weeks from now. How important is politics when it comes to trying to build a whole community like this?
Man, in certain cities, if you have a lot of zoning challenges, politics can play a role. Thankfully in Houston, we don't have a lot of zoning issues. I feel like sometimes politics can be a distraction because we've all lived through several presidents right now. And I don't think anybody can actually say the president dictated any one exact incident that happened in your life. I think politics can play a role when it comes to like the taxing in the community. Like when you start revitalization, they do have the power to vote to change tax exemption legislation so that seniors and older people in the community don't get displaced. But outside of that, man, I think a lot more of it should be up to us. If you even think about the legislation like redlining, all that stuff that happened that we blame so much of the blight in our community on, but we forget about, especially you being in real estate, I'm in real estate, and our circles in real estate, a lot of the wholesale deals we get are houses that were built before redlining even started, and they were owned by Black people in those Black neighborhoods. So how can that be our excuse? You know what I mean? Like our grandparents actually built these houses before the banks were backing loans for anybody, So, I mean, I think we way too much. We think too heavily that politics plays a huge role when a lot of it's just entrepreneurship. You got the other minority groups that come in under these same politicians, the Asians, the Hispanics, all of them, even the Nigerians, they all come in and they are more prosperous than a lot of African Americans because they don't focus on politics. They're focused on entrepreneurship and business.
Wow. So we got to get our focus right. We focus on the wrong thing, asking and begging for a job.
Man, I tell everybody this. Before 1967, before we desegregated, man, we didn't need affirmative action because we owned all the businesses in our neighborhoods and we hired ourselves.
Most definitely. Yeah. So you don't have to beg somebody for a job. Matter of fact, yeah, you just put up a post or something similar to that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I said you don't need affirmative action if you own the firm.
Let me see something. I think I had it up here. I didn't have it ready though. Let me see. There it is. Blue. We don't need affirmative action if we own the firms.
Right. That's it. I mean, it's point blank. Point blank. I mean, if you even think about desegregation and the housing laws, we infiltrated everybody else's communities. Like even the Caucasians in certain cities didn't live in the same neighborhood. The Italians had their own neighborhood. The Germans had their own neighborhood. You know, the Greeks had their own neighborhood, and we just like, no, we want to move in everybody's stuff. You know, so they had some level of separation. So I think we weighed too heavily on the point of proving that we had the right, and we neglected a lot of things that we could be doing for ourselves. You know.
So what do you think it is that really stops people from, our people from taking the steps necessary to do what we need to do to build up our own communities?
I think it's a lack of exposure, lack of knowledge. But I think I got tired of having conversations with highly intellectual African Americans that had these collegiate degrees, these master's degrees, and they were telling me why it wouldn't work. And so I just figured the best blueprint is to go ahead and just create one. You know, and the best refute, the best argument is just to go ahead and create a model that works. I mean, you think about other communities. Imagine if Sam Walton waited till all of his cousins in the trailer park was on board with him starting Walmart or understand entrepreneurship. But think about how many people in trailer parks or in low income Caucasian people now are employed by Walmart. You know what I mean? So I think we spend so much time trying to be frustrated and try to make everybody get it. We got to stop doing that. The ones that get it, just go and set the blueprint, and other people will benefit, and they won't even realize why they're benefiting.
Because, some people say that, oh, my family don't support me and I feel alone. I mean, what does somebody do to overcome stuff like that?
Man, get out that circle. Stop talking to those people. Find like-minded individuals that's on the same page as you, and go with your emotion, go with your move. I mean, they will understand later. My parents still don't understand the extent of the things I do. If my mom knew the type of deals that I was doing, she would be stressed out every day because she'd be like, "You're taking too big a risk. Why don't you just go back and get a job and get those benefits? Play it safe." So, I mean, and a lot, that is the worst deterrent. Like the people that are close to you, that really love you, that really feel like they're giving you the best advice they know how to give, they'll deter you from doing something great because they want you to play it safe.
Wow, they want to protect you.
Right. They want to protect you.
Wow. Keep you locked in a box. So I know that I know they got the thing with the opportunity zones just passed. And do you think that's something that's beneficial that we could benefit from?
So yeah, to explain opportunity zones fully, I think a lot of us have a misconception about the benefit that it brings to our community. So the opportunity zone legislation was put in place because the government realized they were missing out on a lot of capital gains taxes. They calculated like $2.2 trillion of capital gains taxes from wealthy individuals, or everybody in general, was tied up in investments because people did not want to cash in on those investments because they knew they had to pay that high tax on it. So they created this model, and they were like, well, okay, if we can get them to cash in on their profits, pay us a small tax, how can we incentivize them to want to make that decision? So the way you incentivize them is say, okay, if you pull your money out and you cash in and you pay this 15% tax now, whatever you take your 85% you got left and invest it in whatever you want in these neighborhoods that we designate. You have to buy it and you have to significantly improve it. If you hold it for 10 years, you have zero tax liability for that entire 10 years. So your profits, everything is tax free. When you sell it at the end of 10 years, tax free. So that's huge. That's really what opportunity zones were for. And that's why they were created. How do we benefit? We have to have the projects in these neighborhoods, and we have to go to these opportunity funds and get them to fund the projects, But as far as us having a direct benefit, number one, you have to have capital gains. That means you have to have already invested in something and have profits that you want to invest in something if you want to get the personal tax benefit. So the only way that you really benefit otherwise is to be working with a group that has those funds and are trying to find projects to put that money into.
Wow. So it's kind of like, a lot of people feel like there was no opportunity. And I'm like, it sounds like a good deal if you get no tax after 10 years.
Right. Oh, it's definitely a good deal. You just have to find the right projects because number one, they designated these low income, these food desert type census tracts with low demographics. So it's like a catch-22, right? Because you got to invest in one of these communities, but you also got to find a project that still makes sense, and one that you feel comfortable buying and invest. If you put $1 million in, you got to invest another $1 million into the project. Do you feel comfortable doing that just to save on taxes? You know what I mean? It has to still be a profitable investment, So, it's like I said, it's a catch-22. Now, the way that we can benefit more that we don't really talk about is the business side. If you have a business that's headquartered outside of an opportunity zone, you can move that business into an opportunity zone, relocate the headquarters in there, and you get a huge tax benefit too. So I think that's more tangible and something that's more in reach for us. You say you're taking your profits from your business to relocate your business and put it into opportunity. Yeah,
I haven't looked at that. My business might be in the opportunity zone already. I got to look on the map again, because when I looked on the map, it looked like it was more of our areas anyway. That was like blocked off to say that these areas.
The trick is you have to relocate it, so you have to claim your headquarters outside of one, and then move it into one.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I know my old place was in the opportunity zone, but we just moved into a different place. But I don't know if that's an opportunity zone or not. So got to check that. So that's a nugget right there. Move your business into an opportunity zone.
Right. That's it.
That's what I'm talking about. So cool. So I know you so you said you made a blueprint and a model for basically building up communities. How big are these communities? Is it like 20 houses or is it 100 houses? What kind of numbers are you doing?
Okay, so right now I'm in halfway through a 14 townhouse project right now, and that project was actually the catalyst for everything I'm doing. It was an old abandoned grocery store and some old drug houses that I bought, cleaned them up for a while, did parolee housing out of the property, and in 2018 I started building new construction because I knew that gentrification was coming to the community, and my goal was just to educate everybody on why we should be buying in the communities when gentrification starts, because then we control the narrative, and it can be true revitalization with us maintaining some of the culture and narrative, and also riding that value appreciation wave that we always miss out on, because we're always taught, wait till it looks nice, wait till the crime rate is 0, wait till the school districts are good. Meanwhile, Becky's over there walking a dog and riding that value appreciation wave from $300,000 up to $800,000 for the same house, So just educating people on the importance of getting in and being a participant in that, So so that project is 14 townhomes. I also did a crowdfunded project to buy an existing portfolio of rental properties, because that's another way we can participate in the neighborhood. The only way you prevent people from being displaced that are long-term renters is to own the real estate. You can try to get the government to do these rent caps and all that stuff, but that changes with every politician, The politician can reverse the legislation from the previous one. Only way you really control the rents is to own the real estate and control all the rental properties. So,
because some people feel like the rent can only be this much. I'm like, the rent is whatever you agree to, right?
Right. It's a pure capitalism play. It's a pure business play. They have a product and they will name their market price for it. And if somebody in that market is willing to pay for it, they're gonna leave that price right there. Period. And so we have to be more intentional. We have to be more socially conscious investors in these communities, because of course there's two ways to make money off of real estate. There's cash flow and there's value appreciation. So if you're gonna have a significant amount of value appreciation, you don't have to force the cash flow play so much and push people out.
So these the townhouses you do, are you setting it up to rent them out, or are you setting them up to actually sell them to other people to make them homeowners?
Yeah, so the townhouses that I'm building, those are for sale. And the reason why I do that is because I wanted to attract the working professional back to the community. And I needed higher incomes there for this storyline to make sense, because part of the issue that we have in our communities is that we focus on keeping or looking out only for the low income folks in the community. But if you ever want the grocery store to come back, if you ever want the restaurants to come back, if you ever want the businesses that want to do a good deed and go set up in these neighborhoods, if you want them to be successful, you got to have enough people. You absolutely have to have enough people in the community that can patronize and support the businesses fully, right? So you got to have the higher income demographic back in the neighborhood, and if you can figure out how to do that without displacing the existing residents, then it's a win-win.
Right. Yeah. So when you get ready to look into one of these deals to try to buy and do, are you looking for stable employment already, or what are the basic things that before you even think about going into a neighborhood and trying to revitalize it like that?
I look for a catalyst. I look for something either from a public perspective, like the city government is trying to do something in the community and they want investors to come in, or a private development is already announced, some type of driver for that area. Because then it's not speculation. Your specific project doesn't have to be the draw. There's already a draw. So you come in and you just benefit from being close to that draw and just ride the wave, So, you don't go into a war zone, try to do this. It probably won't work,
Don't do that. That'll be bad business. Yeah, because here in St. Louis, up in North County in the Spanish Lake area, they have, I think they're putting like $11 million doing the St. Louis Zoo expansion. I mean, something like that. Is that something you would probably say get in that area because they're dumping that kind of money into it? If
that zoo brings a lot of tourists and there's a lot of businesses that are going around it, yeah, I think that's definitely a good catalyst because, anything that's going to draw more commerce to an area is a good reason to try to look at that area, to do some type of development.
Because I'm mad. I wholesaled a deal over there and I wanted to keep that house.
Yeah, man.
It ain't gonna do nothing but go up, but so that's cool. So so you're looking for something, not a war zone for sure. So there's no way to save a war zone, is it?
I mean, if you can buy property really cheap and just hold it, eventually, it may come around, but you can't bank on that. I would never bank on that.
So you stay completely away from those. You say just run away, don't even mess with it.
Now, I'm not saying don't mess with it. I mean, it just has to be bought at a really, really profitable price, a really low price where you have a lot of upside and you can wait it out. But if you're looking for something that's going to immediately go back into the workforce, go back into the marketplace and make you some profit, it's going to be real tough over there,
Right. That makes sense. So cool. So you say you're doing 14 townhouses right now, and this is what, your third project or second?
That was the first project. The second project is the buy the block movement, and I have small single family flips that I'm turning into like Airbnb type stuff in the community, and then I have a big project I'm working on now that's it's going to be the first multi-family project over in Fifth Ward as far as like something large scale, so like a 226 unit apartment complex. So. Working on that one right now, man, and that's another level of elevation, another level of learning and exposure. But I'm enjoying the ride.
I know that's right. Cool. For the people that's watching, give this video a thumbs up, give it a like, give it a share. If you have any questions about anything we're speaking about, go ahead and ask them in the comments. We'll try to get to them before we wrap this thing up this evening. So Chris, so you're doing the real estate there. What happens if say you're doing one of these types of deals? Do you ever can you wholesale a whole package deal, or you just keep them, or what do you do with all of them, or do you always try to re-improve them and make them valuable like you always do?
For me personally, if I'm going to wholesale it, I'm going to make sure it goes into the hands of somebody that's along, that understands the mission that I'm on and doing the same thing, right? So I just closed a deal 2 weeks ago with one of my students. The guy was a protege. He brought me a deal. A lady he met randomly at a family reunion, wasn't directly related to him, but owned a property in Fifth Ward. It was her mom's house, and she had a tenant in it. But she just wanted to move on. She didn't want to have to deal with the memory of her mom, in the house anymore. And she's in her, late 60s. And so he brought the deal to me, and there was 2 houses across the street that had just been flipped. And it was, a Hispanic investor bought one, a white investor bought the other one. And they were like, they really want to see if they can keep it in the community. So he brought it to me. And, he was like, so what can we do with it? I was like, well, it could make a good flip, but I would prefer not to have to displace the tenant. So it just so happened that I had another student who wanted to become an investor, already had the capital sitting on the side. And so I evaluated the deal. I was like, well, you can buy it, put about 50 into it, and then sell it and make a 50 cap profit on it. You make 50,000 profit on it right now. Or you can buy it, put about 3,000 and just fix the little repairs, let it cash flow for a few years, and if that tenant ever moves out, like in 3 or 4 years, you'll make probably $80,000 on it when you renovate it at that point and sell it. So you're not displacing anybody, you're keeping it in the community, and you're riding that value appreciation wave because it's still by all the revitalization. So it's a different model you can look at for everyone. So in that case, yeah, we did go ahead and wholesale it, but I made sure that I was conscious about the end investor that I was selling it to.
Right. You want to make sure they want to do something good with it. That makes sense. Cool.
Yeah.
Somebody on Facebook say, how do you know if it's a war zone?
If they shooting up and then, I mean, a war zone when you see one.
If you hear a gunshot, it's probably a war zone.
If there's absolutely no other activity in the community, and you just see something that says, "Man, this will make a good property." It's like having an orange diamond, right? Like it's a diamond, it's valuable, but how many people are really in the market for that? Like how hard is it gonna be for you to sell? And how much it's gonna cost you to buy it and get it cut and get it set and get it set in the ring? Like how likely is that you're gonna be profitable? That's a big risk to take if you're not already independently wealthy and you just got money to throw away at something and take a big gamble.
Definitely. Cool. And I got a tip for you too. If you're looking to find out if it is a war zone, you can go to Trulia.com and go to their crime map. It'll show you right there all the crimes that happen. I use that sometime if I'm looking at an area like, dang, I got carjackings, all kind of stuff over here. Hell no. So yeah, try that out. What's up, Terry? So yeah, so cool. So that works. So what does a person need to do to actually get into investing in doing development? I mean, I know you said they need some type of capital. What else does somebody need to get started that's kind of thinking about it?
So development, man, it's a long-term play. It's not quick like a flip. Development of the average development project is going to take 2 or 3 years. So the first thing you have to make sure you do is you have to have site control, right? And there's a couple ways you can have site control. You can actually own the property outright. You can have some type of long-term purchase contract on the property while you go through your due diligence. Or you can have some type of option contract that gives you the right to execute and buy it at any point in time, like say for the next 2 years. So option contracts are the way a lot of developers do it if they have to parcel together a bunch of different little properties, you know what I mean, to make one big project. You go to 5 or 6 people that own the property that you need, and you say, hey, I give you $1,000 right now. You sign this contract that says if I'm ready within any time in the next 2 years, I can buy your property for XYZ amount. And here's $1,000. If this ever happens, then you have to fulfill the contract. If it never happens, that $1,000 is yours. So that's how you option play something, and that gives you because development is, you're taking something that's either you're completely changing the use, which is going to take a lot of planning and permitting and a lot of expense on design, or you're starting from scratch and you have to not only design the project, but you have to make sure the infrastructure is there. You have to bring all that in. So you don't want to spend all that time and money on that stuff, and you don't have full site control, right?
Wait a minute. So you saying an option contract, basically you're going to give them $1,000, and long as everybody in that community agrees, you can activate that at that point once you get all of them locked up, basically.
That you brought up something good. I didn't even mean the community, but that is a good point. What I meant was like the individual homeowner. As long as whoever has the rights to make a decision on selling that house agrees to that contract, then yeah, any point in the next 2 years you can go back and buy it. But another point that you just brought up is a lot of times when you're changing the use of a property or you're changing the zoning, you do have to go before a council and a variance committee, which is all public, open for public comment. And so you don't want to buy a whole bunch of property and then find out that the community doesn't want that in their community. You know what I mean? So you have to understand that that's a part of the game too, and that's a risk that you have to take. So if you do the site control with the option model, you hedge your bet. You don't have as much risk about buying something that you won't be able to utilize later.
So you would already have to agree on a price then with that seller.
That's exactly what it is. You got
that's the tricky part.
Well, yeah, in any scenario, you have to know the price up front, because when you're doing a development, you got to understand all your costs. You know what I mean? So you got to know exactly what the land acquisition cost is going to be, because that's part of your project performance. You got to know how profitable it's going to be. You don't want to put a project together and then have a huge variable of what the land could be. If that ranges, that can knock you right out of being profitable on the entire deal. So you got to be able to plan to invest all this capital, have all this capital at risk for what they call the soft costs. The soft costs are like design, permitting, like any consultants you need, anything that you have to do before you start construction. That's all soft. It's not a tangible asset that you can sell. So all that money is at risk. And you're in a project for a year or more, maybe 2 years before you can even start seeing a profit, because even after you get it approved, you still got to go through construction, Yeah. So development is definitely a long game, like I said, but it's possible. It's possible to do it.
Yeah, because we ran into something like that. We have a a $1.2 million 78 unit hotel under contract here in St. Louis.
Man.
And that was one of the reasons the person was like, well, I don't really want to buy because, you know, the politics of this and that.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, you know, I know that's, you know, I know it's going to cost something, but they were like, yeah, they don't think they're going to let them do what they want to do with it. And they just wanted to keep it as a hotel, just renovate it.
Okay.
But, you know, stuff like that. I mean, so have you run into stuff like that, issues like that?
Man, I not necessarily, not on the projects that I'm trying to do, but I mean, that does happen, you know, especially if you're in an area like the city will do different things like create a tax increment finance zone. That's something where they use to fund other projects. But what they do is they turn around, they tax like hotels and other businesses in the community at a higher rate to generate the revenue to do other development projects. So those types of things can be issues. But yeah, changing the use of something, or if the city really wants something to go away, they can give you a lot of pushback on buying it and renovating it. You know, they can give you hell.
Yeah, because I'm like, man, they kind of political around here, man. I don't know if everybody like that, but
yeah, I mean, like I said, it's different from city government to city government, but I mean, there's a lot of challenges in different places.
Cool. So when you do these deals, are you doing all of them just straight outright buying them for cash, or are you doing some type of creative stuff? When you get some of them, how are you doing that part?
Everything I do is creative, and I try not to use a bank if I don't have to. So my sweet spot is finding people that own property free and clear with no debt on it, because then we can always sell or finance it. And that's what I've been doing. Is you either joint venture with them, where you allow them to put the property into the deal as equity, or you sell or finance it from them, where you give them a certain percentage down, and that gives you time to to put the project together and just make monthly payments to them, and then pay it off as your project moves along.
Right. And so people have been pretty receptive to that. They haven't been like, oh, I don't understand. Or do you have to take them through a full course of how this really works and how they're protected in the deal?
Definitely both. I mean, like I said, my two big projects that are active, both of them, they agreed to the terms. The first one, where I did the townhome project, he wanted $500,000 for the property back in 2013 when it was fully drug infested and there was no demand over there. But it wasn't even worth $500,000. But I told him I would owner finance it from him and give him 10% down, right? Because my thought process behind that was pay him this now, but I knew redevelopment was coming to the community. So you owner finance it for 20 years. Well, by the time you pay off that $500,000 in 20 years, the value will have exceeded and far exceeded that $500,000. So it makes sense in that capacity to do it. And that's exactly what happened. That same property now is worth about $850. Even though I'm building a town.
500,000 is nothing. Say, take your little money, man.
Right. Yeah. So, and and then the other play, that seller was absolutely not taking 10% down. They were like, you got to give us at least 50%. And I bought it for 1.2. So I had to bring 600,000 to closing for that one.
So they knew what they had and they weren't playing that stuff.
Right. And I was trying to buy one of the lots next door after I closed on it, and vacant lot. And first they said they were willing to sell. They decided they weren't going to sell. I tried to talk him into owner finance, and he brought a real estate agent in, and the price went from $220,000 to $500,000.
Oh my God!
He was like, well, he wasn't trying to sell. You approached him. If he's gonna sell, he's gonna make some serious money. And I'm like, come on, lady, the market value of this property is not $500,000. He agreed to sell and finance it to me originally, but that's another challenge you deal with when they bring in outside working professionals, realtors, and all that kind of stuff. They can convolute deals and they can kill deals.
So you telling me he brought a in and messed up the deal?
Right, brought a realtor in and messed up the deal.
So do you do any deals with real estate agents at all? Do they bring you leads? Do you sell on with them? What do you do with real estate agents?
Yeah, definitely. The way I work with real estate agents is on lead generation. If they bring me something, I let them get the listing on the back end, whether it's a lease or a sale. If it's a wholesale deal, I just cut them in and give them a cut of the wholesale proceeds, on the side, or they can put it on their, they can put it on the contract if they want to. But yeah, and all of my completed projects, I always list them with realtors because they just have so much more exposure. I know a lot of people like to save that 3% or that 6% or whatever, but my time is more valuable to me than that. It's like, you can try to do all that yourself, and then you get to the point where you have to hire an employee, or the percentage you pay an employee over the course of a year and having to get extra office space to house an employee and all this other kind of stuff, it far exceeds that 6% that you just paid that realtor if you just outsource that work to somebody, So people think
Yeah,
they're paying
and
and when they end up losing money overall.
right, and they can give it its full attention. You don't have to worry about it. They do all the listing and showings, and you don't have to worry about none of that crap.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people try to talk bad about real estate agents. I'll be like, they got a job. They got to let them do the job they're good at.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they're bringing you value, like I said, and the commission-based model is the best model to pay anybody because it's performance-based. If they don't perform, they don't get paid. So
Is that have you ever had to negotiate like a flat fee listing or anything like that, or is it just straight 6% every time?
no, like for my new construction project, I do 5%, just because I still want them to feel like they're getting value out of it, but they're not having to go from client to client trying to continue to get more business. I'm giving you a whole portfolio of stuff, so I give them a discount, but I also expect them to reinvest money into marketing, into signage, into all those things for the project in turn, so it doesn't come out of my budget for the development.
Most definitely. So everything is negotiable.
Everything is negotiable.
I know that's right. Cool. Let me see if we got some questions over here on the stream. We are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, let's see, Twitch, Periscope, and some others. We got about 30 people watching right now. Let's see, respect family. All right. Let's say I want to get into Ghana real estate. Lots of Americans are going back home. You know anything about international real estate going over on the motherland?
I don't know anything about international real estate. I stick with what I know. So I wouldn't give any advice on it. I know it's a lot less regulatory restrictions over there, but it's also, a lot more is at risk over there too. So you gotta know people that are actively playing in that market that, have some level of control over what's going on. I've heard that from a lot of the investors over there. So that's something I haven't dabbled in yet.
Cool. And we got Deandra. What's up, Deandra? Just closed our first deal. Shout out to you. She said, what marketing strategy is he using to find these deals?
I use all kind of strategies. A lot of my stuff now, just because of, I guess, my platform's reach, a lot of the deals I pick up now are just from people that want to do business. So I don't actively source leads myself anymore. I have a network of wholesalers I work with. I have realtors that send me deals, and I have people that reach out to me personally because they just have a family member or they personally have some property that they want to do something with. So yeah,
you got leads from social media just from being online a lot of stuff?
Yeah. I got one deal I'm working right now. One of my boys, you might know TJ Tajani. He does the Airbnb stuff. You follow him?
Who was it?
TJ Tajani.
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah, so TJ, one of his students is buying a deal that a wholesaler brought me. Just shoot me a DM and for some property in Fifth Ward. So yeah, I get a lot of those too.
Yeah, TJ do those Airbnbs.
Yeah. Short-term rental. Yep.
So y'all doing it big down in Texas, man. Y'all doing big numbers down there.
Oh yeah, TJ killing it, man. And I actually got him managing my Airbnb. So
hey, if they good at it, I'm gonna get out the way.
Be the expert.
Yeah, get it. Let an expert do it. I get out the way. How do I get me out of the equation?
Right. Exactly. That's when you start getting that true wealth generation. When the work comes without you doing the work.
Exactly. That makes sense. Lily says, have you used grant money for new builds? I've done this in Festus and Arnold, Missouri, and didn't need capital, but we had to go by their rules, which letting 10% of HUD applicants.
Oh yeah. So she's saying that you can get free money, basically a grant money from government entities to offset your construction costs, but they want you to market your houses to a certain demographic and give a certain group of people an opportunity to buy them, usually at a lower price point than the market rate. So the trade-off is your cost for the construction is lower, but so when you sell at a lower price, you don't really lose that much money. I personally haven't done that on any of my projects, but I do know a lot of people that are in those networks here in Houston that build with the city and for the city, and they do get those benefits.
Yeah, I'd be kind of skeptical about using the government stuff for some time. I don't know. It just don't feel right to me. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
I mean, people make a lot of money with it, but you just have to deal with their regulations and their legislative changes as they make them.
A lot of red tape, right?
Yeah. So I mean, but it's profit is profit. It just depends on what you're comfortable doing or what you're comfortable dealing with to make it.
Yeah, just like people say, do a lot of Section 8. Do you do anything with that type of stuff?
I have in the past. I don't do any Section 8 now. It can be profitable. and it can, it can hedge your bet basically because the Section 8 voucher covers more than your mortgage payment. At least that's covered whether the tenant pays their rent or not. The challenge is sometimes tenants tearing stuff up. Sometimes if you get those voucher folks that have 100% voucher, they really have nothing vested in anything. You know what I mean? It's just like free housing for them. So they tend to neglect your property more than getting the working mom or the working tenant that just can't make it and they just need a little bit of help to sustain themselves. Those are the type of tenants you really want. So if you have to have a property manager or you have to have time to really screen your tenants and talk to their previous landlords to understand, how they handled the last property, how well they took care of it and maintained it.
Yeah, those tenants, you say if they got 100% voucher, look out.
Every now and then you find a good one, but usually it's tough. So.
Right. And so word of mouth marketing. Yeah. So social media, this thing is crazy. I got deals from social media. People come straight in my inbox. I got 4 houses. Damn.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff I like. That's why you got to be out here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So what are you working on? You do any kind of coaching, mentoring? If people want to learn more about getting into this development game and stuff like that, what are you doing?
Man, yeah. So I do have a program where you can come in if you already have some capital set aside and you just need help getting through the process. I can help you start from scratch with identifying a lot to do new construction on. I just plug you with the local players here in Houston, as far as from architects to contractors, banking relationships and all that. So I do have that program. What I'm focused on now is my membership program, where it's going to be like an all access monthly membership, where I'm calling it everything I know about real estate, where it's going to be content uploaded monthly, like a living library of stuff for everything that I've learned from wholesaling to fix and flip to rental properties to just being a hard money lender to doing development and new construction. And instead of me, charging these astronomical fees for courses, people can just pay $47 a month and have this long-term access to all this information, and it make it a benefit for everybody. Make it the price point is tangible and accessible. And it's something that people can learn at their own pace, and then when they're ready to take a next step, they can. So
$47 a month. Where would somebody sign up for something like that?
It's at learnfromchris.com.
Oh, let me get that domain, man. Come on. Learnfromchris.com.
I bought it last year, and I was like, I can't believe this is still available, but I'm sure gonna scoop it up.
Learnfromchris.com. Let me see if I can put it on the screen for you.
Yeah.
Say I'm mad. Let me get that thing, man. You got it. Learnfromchris.com. So that's $47 a month. That will get some contracts and stuff too. Or what all does that come with?
Yeah. I do have wholesale contracts in there. I have the contracts that you use for signing projects. I have some basic lending contracts too, like promissory notes and those types of things. If you want to borrow money or be the lender to other projects, I have all that in there. And like I said, new content will be uploaded monthly. Even when I get other resources, even if they're not mine, if I run across a good Bigger Pockets article that's really insightful, I'm gonna put that in there, so people can, it saves them time from trying to sort through so much data and so much information and just find the pertinent stuff that's available out there and having it at their fingertips.
Makes perfect sense. Cool. So you let's see here. So what kind of mistakes did you make in this endeavor? Probably a lot that you've done in the past that you've learned from.
Man, I would say, people always ask for individual circumstances, and I'll give you one. I bought a house without talking to my mentor because I thought it was a great deal, but it was an area that had really, really, really bad soil conditions. And what the genius that I was like, well, I'll just pay a foundation company to come, prepare the foundation and, fix the house. I was going to keep it as a rental. Well, the foundation was so bad that in 2 years, the house had completely settled again, and it was uneven when you walk through it. So even though I had a full warranty from the foundation company for 10 years, they came back and fixed the foundation. But when they fixed it, all the pipes under the house burst, the gas lines and the water lines, the sheetrock cracked, all this other kind of stuff. So, I had to talk to my mentor. He could have gave me the foresight to realize, even though you think you got a short-term solution with a guarantee, you got to think about all the other factors that are included in that situation that may rear their ugly head later. So,
wow. How much did you lose in that?
about $15,000. I ended up having to get out of the house and barely broke even, but I had to hold it for a few years, let the rent continue to bring me revenue until I was at a point where I could sell it and still break even. But that was like 3 years of stress and losses for the most part just to break even, you know. So yeah, things like that. So I mean, but that's the fruit, right? The seed is have a mentor and listen to a mentor, right? Have somebody in your circle that knows what they're doing and take their guidance. Don't think you can outsmart the system, because it's a system that's been in place forever. Real estate is one of the oldest games there is. So you definitely want to have people in your circle that know what they're talking about. And your biggest mistake is trying to figure out on your own. This ain't school. You don't get accolades for not cheating on the test. You want to cheat. You know, you want to copy off the right cat. You don't want to try to do it on your own.
That's right. It's okay to be a copycat as long as you copy the right
cat.
Wow. So just jumping in. It's a good deal. I got it locked up, and you thinking you good to go and mess around. I had to wait 3 years. Painful.
Right. Pain. Woo. Right.
Damn. I know that's something there. Let's see here. Lucy smiling and happy. Good to see you, Lucy, as well. Great advice, Shonda Bolar says, and good stuff. So yeah, so like you said, if you ever want to learn more, go to learnfromchris.com. Got a whole bunch of information there for you that can help you out in your real estate endeavors. So what do you have planned for as the future? Are you planning on doing more developments, or are you going to set up this blueprint where others can just come in and say, this is how we got to do it in our city as well? Or what do you plan to do in the future?
Definitely both. I'm definitely going to go down both paths. Definitely want to do more development. There's a lot of opportunities still in this neighborhood that I'm in here in Fifth Ward that I'm doing projects in. So I want to continue to make sure control as much of that, do some bigger scale projects, just kind of leverage, you know, the current capital that I'm going to get from these other deals and put that right back into doing bigger deals. Yeah, like I said, working on trying to get this, working on getting this development. I got to be conscious of the way you speak, you know, this big multifamily project. So got that in the works, man. So I think that's going to be another game changer to kind of show how we can do larger scale developments collectively in these communities, and have an impact and make a profit off of them. So yeah, so that, and definitely partnering on projects in other cities with other people, as long as we can find the right team to put together and assemble the right players, you know, definitely going to be on board with doing that as well.
Yeah, that's something I did want to ask you about as well. How important is it to find a good team to have around you, and what do you do to actually find these people?
Man, it is hard. That is the toughest part, I would say. But it's all about relationships. It's all about networking, and you know, you have to spend the time. You have to have enough conversations. You have to not be afraid to tell people no. You have to not be afraid to say I don't like somebody's energy, and just keep moving until you find the right team. One of the principles that one of my favorite books is Think and Grow Rich talks about is putting the energy into reaching the goal, right, and not worrying about what could go wrong. And if you put all your energy into something and you continue to search for what you want, eventually it'll all come together. Now you can't, if you sat down and tried to plan it out on day one and expect it to go exactly that way, it's never going to happen that way. But you have to be steadfast in the goal and kind of be flexible in the approach. And part of that approach is talking to people, networking until you find the right team and not rushing that process, you know.
Yeah, because putting some bad people on the team can set you back 10 years.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, even with my development, the first team I had, I'll tell this story all the time, is like I had a very ambitious team. I had people that were go-getters that had big networks and knew a lot of people. But the flaw in that group, even though we all had the same mindset, was that nobody had actually completed a project. You know what I mean? There's little things that need to be tweaked, little things that we didn't know because we hadn't had the exposure to it, right? So even that team can be devastating. And I lost a lot of money working with that team, even though we were, you know, I thought I was doing the right thing. So you definitely want to have somebody that actually completed projects on the team that can, you know, give you the guidance that you need to get something across the finish line.
Wow. So don't get just a bunch of people. We all think we can do it. Rah, rah. Yeah, we good. But nobody never done nothing yet.
Exactly. Exactly.
Wow.
And it's a big difference going from fix and flip to development and construction, you know. So that was my challenge. I didn't have a big enough circle of home builders and developers around me starting out. So I ended up losing like $40,000 in that process, you know.
Wow. So you just told me already in 2 stories, one deal lose about 15, lost another 40. A lot of people scared to lose some money, but that might be some of the sacrifice you might have to make to get it and be successful. Wouldn't you agree?
It is. I mean, it's like in any type of investment, there's a risk of loss. but you just have to understand that you have to be consistent with it. And when something goes wrong, it's not failure, that's just feedback on what you need to adjust. So yeah, I mean, you're gonna lose some money. You can't be afraid to lose money. I think that's another thing that we're conditioned, another thing that comes from the school system, right? We are taught that the people that are the best fail less than 10% of the time, and they get it wrong less than 10% of the time. That's the A students, right? But at the end of the day, if your goal is to get a diploma, the people that fail 25, 30% of the time end up getting that same diploma you got, right? And they're more comfortable failing, they're more comfortable taking risks, they're more comfortable staying in their comfort zone and not doing extra things. And so I think investors, we have to think more like those people and understand that failure is going to come, but that still means 70% of the time you're going to be right, right? So it's still more than enough for you to be profitable.
I know that makes sense. Cool. Because it's a fear, like, man, I might lose this. You might lose. It might just not work out. It's possible.
Right.
That's the chance you take, right?
You might play it safe and have a good job, and COVID hits and you lose everything, because you have one source of income. So
exactly. COVID-19. Andrea say, do you offer any training courses?
There are some on learnfromchris.com too. Yeah, there's some training courses on there. Specifically around new construction and wholesaling and that type of stuff. There's some courses on there. Yeah.
Yeah, I might need to go take that because I ain't never even did a construction on one house. I flip them all or keep them or do something creative and push it off on the next person. But I got to get out of my comfort zone too, right?
There you go, bro. There you go.
Right. I know that. That's cool. So let's see here. Any other questions y'all got? Drop them in. We'll get them before we wrap this thing up. You mentioned Think and Grow Rich was one of the books that you recommended. Are there any other books, podcasts, and other resources that you recommend for people to get their mind right in this entrepreneurship / real estate space?
Man, I'm gonna go with the basics, of course. Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Far as podcasts, man, there's a lot of good podcasts out right now, man. My guys with Earn Your Leisure, I like their podcast because they cover entrepreneurship in general as a whole. Some people think that the focus of your education should be on the specific strategies to execute a deal. But what's much more important than that is the mindset that you have, because you like the things we're just talking about, like being scared to fail, like understanding the importance of having a mentor, understanding the importance of not worrying and focusing on the end goal, and all those things are mindset things, and that's much more important than learning a specific real estate strategy, because even the real estate strategies change as the markets change. So like stuff like Earn Your Leisure and Think and Grow Rich, those are what's most important, because you can get in industry and you can find people locally that are doing deals that work in your market, because you can learn something online on YouTube that's working in Virginia that ain't gonna work in California.
Right.
So yeah,
just like they say in Texas, y'all can't do lease options there or something, right?
Yeah, you can. It's a certain part of like owner finance deals or wraparound mortgages that we can't do here that people can do in other states.
Exactly, because I love the lease option. That's my favorite exit strategy. That's why I'm like, man, I wish I can do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we can do something kind of similar called contract for deed, but it's a little bit tricky.
It's a lot of little gray area, huh?
Yeah.
So figure out your market and do what you can. I guess that's the moral of that story.
Yep.
Cool. Let's see here. What advice do you have for someone who is looking to get started in the wholesale industry with no experience?
Get some experience. There's a ton of resources out there right now. Go to YouTube. My guy Max Maxwell gives away a ton of good free content. Get yourself familiar with all that stuff first before you go and spend money. And while you're doing that, make sure you save up a little money, because wholesaling isn't completely free. You got to have a lot of time available, or you got to have some marketing capital to be able to get into the industry. So I know a lot of people say you do it with no money, but it's very, very tough to actually do it with no money at all.
Some people get lucky and just
unless you have a relationship with somebody that has some some leads on some stuff. I would say definitely get around the experts. Get in some Facebook wholesaling groups. Do whatever you can to learn as much as possible, and then find out who in your local market is teaching and their students actually have success with it, and learn that way.
Most definitely. Yeah, Max Maxwell was the first guy I saw walking around with a big beard talking about real estate. I said, what's this? Wholesaling? And that was just 2 years ago. So I closed my first deal in August of 2018. Went on to close 17 wholesale deals in my first year, and I already got 10 houses. So over time, it only take. I mean, I only been in the game 2 years. If you can do that in 2 years, what can you do in 5 or 10 years? You know what I mean?
There you go.
So it's got to start somewhere, Andrea. Good question. So anything else you want to leave with the family before we wrap this thing up, Chris?
Man, I would say just get out there and fail faster, but take calculated risk, put people around it, you and your circle that are actually doing what you're trying to do. And just don't be afraid to fail. That's the biggest key to it. And if you can master that, then you will find some success at some point.
That's right. Success is the only option. So we're not taking no for an answer.
Right.
I know that's right. Cool. Let me see here. Chris Monroe, I want to connect with you. I'm in your area. Oh, okay. There's the website right there, ChrisMonroeSTL.com, or just go to WokeRealEstate.com for over 250 free real estate training videos. They go back to the question too about learning real estate.
There you go.
Yeah. Easy. Don't go pay no money to nobody. Go learn free stuff first.
Yeah, right. Yep. There you go.
Save your dollars for marketing. That's what you need it for, to find somebody or let people know you exist.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Exactly.
Cool. All right, brother Chris. So learnfromchris.com. That's the website to connect. What about your social media and stuff like that?
Yeah, so my Instagram is _investor. So right there, _investor. I'm actually going to be changing that pretty soon because it's so hard for people to like when I do things like this, I got to make it easier. So I'm going to change it eventually, but that's what it is right now. And the same thing on Twitter. That's my main 2 platforms. But if you just Google my name, it'll pull up all my social media. You can go to ChrisSenegal.com and you can connect with me on all my platforms from there.
That's right. He's Googleable. Just look up Chris Senegal. Real easy. That's what I tell people. Like, all you gotta do is Google me. I'm all over the place.
Right.
It ain't that hard. Cool, Chris. I appreciate you coming in, bro. Keep doing big things down in Texas. And are you going to be expanding outside of Texas eventually, or what?
Definitely expanding outside of Texas, man. I'm looking at a project in Louisiana because I own a bunch of property out there already. Looking at some stuff in Chicago. So I'm definitely open to branching out, man.
Most definitely. Louisiana, I was stationed there for 3 years, so I know that real estate can be cheap down there. I was like, man. Fort Polk, Louisiana. That's right.
Okay.
Yep, I deployed to Iraq out of there, so that was good enough for me. I escaped. All right, brother Chris, thank you for coming on, all right?
All right, man. Talk to you later.
All right, cool. And that's how we do it, family, right here each and every Monday night, 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern. We try to bring on a heavy hitter to help you improve your mindset, improve your entrepreneurship IQ, and help you in real estate. If you want to do real estate, that's good. If you want to get your mindset right for other things, that's good as well. So that's definitely what we want you to do. Don't forget, next Monday night, we'll be on with Mr. Let's see here. Who do we got next week? We got Mrs. Ashley and Joseph out of Atlanta. Just closed a $14,000 wholesale deal, JV deal, showing how you can work with partners, work with others who are actually doing the business. They're going to go through a full case study, how they found the deal, everything like that. Net profit, $14K. What can you do with an extra $14K? We about to ask them what they did with theirs because we definitely going to talk to them next Monday. The following week, which is the 26th, we're on with Mr. D. Stevens, talking about that real estate strategy. He's a creative real estate specialist as well, structuring deals and doing great deals, and he coaches others as well. So like I said, we bring on people to try to help you out in this business. If you want to be notified of any of the upcoming streams, all you have to do is text JV to 31996. That'll get you the free joint venture agreement. Plus, you'll be added to the notification list, so you'll get a text message right in your phone to let you know when we're going live on these Monday night streams. Just simply text JV to 31996. Real simple, real easy. Let's see here. I want one-on-one training. I know that's right. Well, one-on-one probably costs. I'm going to let you know when you start talking one-on-one with people, you better bring your good wallet because that means time. But, I'm not going to tell you not to do it. But, get the free information first if you want to do that. If you want to invest in yourself like I did, I spent about $1,000 before I got my first deal, but that was straight to get the business set up because I knew I didn't want to be in the business to say, I just want to get a quick check. I wanted to be in the business long term. So I spent the money. I got a VA in the first week before I had a deal and just went gusto, but I've already had entrepreneurship experience. So, depending on your situation, you can do that as well. I won't tell you not to, but do your thing. She said, that's my mentor, D. Oh, all right, cool. Thank you. No problem. I'm ready. All right. Cool. Lucy Miller, great information. All right. So don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, give it a like, give it a share, tag somebody that may need to learn this stuff. Do that. And we will see you on next week. And we'll do it just like that. So stand by, Chris, in the green room if you like. Do what you do. Be who you be. And I'll see you before you see me. Peace.
And we here. And we here. And we here. Mr. I stay. Whoa, 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 whoa. And Mr. I stay.
Today's broadcast is being brought to you by WokeSkipTracing.com. Look up phone numbers and email addresses with ease, with pricing as low as only 15 cents per match, not per search, per match. If there's no number or email address, you don't pay. Get accurate data in just minutes. WokeSkipTracing.com. That's WokeSkipTracing.com.